Her own ribbon of hope to the bridge here, Nicola's next-door neighbour and friend, Charlotte, adding her voice to calls for the investigation to be broadened out.
It's just this never-ending turmoil of where are you? You know, and to have to think how you answer that to your own children, never mind to obviously Paul and Nikki's children. It's just an endless torment each day of hoping for something. So in my opinion, we just need all the lines of inquiries expanding, everywhere searching, you know, ground and water.
For Nicola's family and friends, the river just isn't the answer. They can't accept what the police call their working hypothesis that she might have fallen in while walking her dog, Willow.
As soon as obviously the news was in that we think she's in the river, I think a lot of us looked at each other like, well, how and where? Which part? The part by the bench? Because there's a bench there for a reason that you can sit there. It's astonishing if you manage to fall in from there, really.
So has the focus here been wrong? Have opportunities been missed? On the bench where Nicola's phone was found, which was never sealed off, I spoke to a former detective who's surprised by the strategy.
I did expect to see that chair ramped up as a forensic exhibit, or even a tent over the chair to contain the forensic evidence that might be there. But actually they need another force with experienced detectives and experienced search teams to walk in and review what they've done, to reassure the public and the Bulley family that everything that should be done is being done, because I'm not convinced it is.
We may have seen police activity in recent days, but there's been no press conference for a week now, and we've still not heard from the lead detective, the senior investigating officer. What Lancashire Police do say is that there's no evidence of third-party involvement. So if it's not an accident or criminal, could Nicola have chosen to leave?
No one ever knows anybody, do they? But in my opinion, she would never leave Paul and the girls. She would never leave her family. And so we are just left with this mystery that she's almost vanished into thin air.
The ribbons now brighten up this bridge, but the mystery still hasn't changed. 18 days on, we're no closer to any answers. Well, you heard in my report from that former detective who says that he believes another police force should have been brought in by now, given the size and the very high profile of this investigation, to work with Lancashire Police to review their strategy and their decision making. Now, as far as we know, that hasn't happened. Instead, they point out that they're working closely with the National Crime Agency and National Search Advisors, who are getting an overview of this investigation. On that other issue, when it comes to the lead detective, the senior investigating officer, the SIO as they're known, I have to say, to be honest, it is a little bit odd that we haven't heard from the SIO yet in this case. We haven't seen them or heard from them at one of the press conferences. But this morning, speaking to Nicola's friend and next door neighbour Charlotte, she does say that she is supportive of the police, as are the family. But here we are now in week 3 of this investigation, and people here are just desperate for anything that they can see or hear that will move the case forward.
Hello and welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist and a licensed mental health counselor. I'd like to start by thanking all my subscribers for all their support and their kind comments. And I would like to start by saying that this is for entertainment purpose only. This is the case of a 45-year-old woman from Lancashire, United Kingdom. Her name is Nicola Bulley. Nicola Bulley was reported missing around 9:30, or not reported missing. Nicola Bulley, his dog Willow, was found near the bench, and a mobile was moved to the bench. Like law enforcement said, this happened on the 23rd of January 2023. Nicola Bulley His last footage showed that she put her dog Willow at the back trunk and she took her daughters to school. She parked a car, which is quite normal, at the school place so that she could take a trip and just walk around and relax near the beautiful river Wye that flows in Lancashire. So Nicola was used to this routine. It wasn't like it was the first time she went for a walk with the dog to this place. This was a place that she was very familiar with, that she knew. And you can clearly see that there are pictures of Nicola, her two daughters, and Paul sitting on the bench. So it's like this bench seems to be a place that they've been for before. And apparently, when Nicola does not walk the dog, her partner, Paul Ansel, walks the dog in the same areas, around the same areas. You see a lot of lovely pictures of Nicola Bulley walking down the river. Nicola was a good swimmer, and you could see she was quite fit. She was a sportswoman, she was training, looking after herself, and you can see to all the pictures, although pictures can be deceiving and tell you another thing, but you could clearly see in all the pictures that her house, her children were clean, well fed, well looked after, they looked happy. And you could see that she was very happy the way we hear about her jobs, about the new sale or something with a mortgage. Since she's a mortgage advisory, she won basically, or she didn't won, but she did a good sale, to put it this way. So Nicola has been working at that work for a while. She has a decent job, a good job, a responsible job. Nicola was reported missing around 9:35, 8:53 a.m. in the morning. It was on a Friday. Nicola sent a message, an email to her boss, and around 9:01, Nicola joined a conference meeting at work, but she wasn't part of the meeting. She was just listening to what was being said at the meeting. So she was logged in, but she was not logged in on Zoom or anything with a video camera. She was just logged in, like listening to the call. So this was at 9:01, and the interview should have ended at 9:30. But 9:35, a woman called Penny, who lives nearby in the what's it called, caravans, saw Nicola's dog Willow and the mobile, and the dog's hatcher or collar lying around. The mobile and the collar was on the bench, and the dog was running between the the bench and the gate. This was at 9:35. They allegedly saw the the profile picture of the mobile, and they noticed that it was Paul and Nicola. So they understood it was Nicola. This is a small village with 700 people, I guess, if not lesser. So it seems like everyone knows each other. And allegedly, it's been said that Penny, who lives in the caravan, works with or works for Paul, that is Nicola's partner, and she lives in a caravan not far from where Nicola was last seen. So that's the reason she came along, and she saw Nicola, his dog Willow. She took some strings or something, a rope, and she just tied Willow to the bench. Law enforcement were called. When they came, they thought that Nicola would most likely be in the river, that she could have fallen or something else. So they started doing a search. There were helicopters, there were drones, there were different kind of devices. The next day, we had Peter Folden from the search team, who has forensic experience, who's very well known in finding people in outside London, and he's been like really in these cases for a while. So he has a private what's it called, scan. He has this scanner, this scanner zone for underwater diving. So he and his crew have been very helpful in the search for Nicola Bulley from the start. And then you had law enforcement walking up and down around all the banks, trying to see, trigger warning, a body may be coming up. And the thing with the River Wye is it goes down and it goes out of the Irish Sea. So that is one thing that the law enforcement was kind of concerned about. They were continuously searching for Nicola. But the sad thing is, from the start, law enforcement said that there was no third party involved. Although it looks like a third party is involved, people have different ways of seeing things. But for me, I just see so many red flags with different people. Personally, all the interviews that Nicola's partner Paul has given has never sat right with me, because it's just like in different ways. I haven't seen, actually, when I think about it, I haven't seen one friend of Nicola, including Nicola's partner Paul, shedding a tear that we can actually see. I know people grieve in different ways. People cry for missing people, I guess, in different ways. But I guess as women, we usually are much more emotional. We break down quickly. And I did not see that in Emma. I did not see that in Charlotte. I did not see that definitely in Paul. And then, while this search for Nicola was going on for 3 weeks and Nicola wasn't found, the thing is, I believe that law enforcement were focusing on the bench where Nicola's mobile was moved to, like law enforcement said, that they actually didn't think that there could be other potential, other scenarios that could have happened, because Nicola was a very kind person. She was a good mother. That's what we hear from everyone. She was a good person. We see all her pictures. She's always doing some charity or helping people. She's very awoke for me. She seems to be a mortgage advisor is a good job, well paid job, and you have to be very active. You have to be calculated. You have to be good in maths. You have to be good in advising. You have to be good in communication service. So I personally believe, and much more, so I personally believe Nicola had a job that many people could have easily envied her. She had just a beautiful personality, according to many people. And then, while the 3 weeks the search was going on, I guess law enforcement dropped the ball on their side, and I guess Paul and many other alleged people that needed to be looked into took advantage of this, because I believe Nicola's body, trigger warning, would have come out of the river, would have popped up, would have come out sometime or the other. It's impossible that Nicola Bulley, may God rest her soul, fell near the bench, whether she slipped or whether she unlived herself. It does not make sense that somebody falls in a shallow water and can't be found in 23 days. And when Nicola was found, she was found on the other side of the river. So this does not make sense at all. And while this was happening, law enforcement in Lancashire released some really private, personal details that should have never been let out about Nicola, his issues, and the suffering or whatever she was going through physically and mentally with menopause, and then they leaked out the fact they breached the confidentiality right by saying that Nicola was having an alcohol addiction. And like I assumed, it was Paul who gave that information. So I don't understand why law enforcement should actually even be bothered listening to a partner, and they should be actually checking all sides just to make sure that there wasn't any foul play here. And I can understand why so many people believe that something was not right in this case, because honestly, it's just a matter of fact that 23 days Nicola Bulley wasn't found, and all of a sudden she was found near a river bank, which was near a road which was so easily accessed for any person to come in the midnight, pitch dark, and just do whatever they do, allegedly. Or it could have just been an innocent accident. But when it comes to Nicola being depressed or Nicola having alcohol issues, I could be wrong, but I don't see that in Nicola. Nicola seemed to be a person who was very alert, a person who was good at her job, good in selling mortgages, and she seemed to be very happy that day, that she even, the night before this happened on Thursday, she was at her mother and at her father and mother's house, and they said that she was all right. She was happy because she made some good mortgage deals. She was happy at work. Everything was going fine for her. So what could have gone wrong from the time Nicola, that night before, when she saw her family, and when Nicola all of a sudden disappeared the next day? I'm wondering, I would have started by checking who knew exactly that Nicola was sitting near that bench, and who put the phone there is a question. If it's Penny and she found it on the floor, I can understand, but she found it apparently on the field. So I always wonder if Nicola was abducted and she didn't have a chance to take a phone with her and it was snatched out of her. Or maybe they did not realize that she had a phone with her. What I'm trying to say is Nicola could have definitely entered water, but I don't think she entered water at that point. She entered water a bit later. I believe something really happened to the poor woman, and I believe she was made to believe, the world is made to believe, that she was having some addiction problems or having some other kind of menopause problems. It is so sad that her rights have been breached because she has two young, beautiful daughters who have to grow up reading this case, watching all the nonsense that has been made about this case, and it is extremely sad. I hope that this woman gets the justice that she deserves, because every human being is entitled to get justice if things happen in a wrong way, or if there was even an accident or foul play. I don't believe Nicola, who was a good swimmer, would fall into a shallow water and wouldn't swim her way out. You can't even hardly swim on a 2 feet water. So I really don't understand why we are made to believe that Nicola Bulley was at the bench, because last she was seen was actually on the field. It's always been said, even Sky News says it when they're talking about the timeline. So I personally believe that this was just a tragedy that nobody's been focusing of a third party, unless law enforcement knows something and have evidence that we don't know about. But I just find it strange that 3 days after Sky News' interview, they did the timeline and everything on Friday, and on Sunday, Nicola's body appeared on the other side of the water. Something does not make sense in this case, and I really hope that she gets her justice. The clip that I just played at the beginning was Nicola's friend and a good friend and a neighbor. Her name is Charlotte. Charlotte is a next door neighbor. You can hear the reporter, the media man saying that. What's her name? Charlotte clearly said that Nicola was a good mother. She spoke good about Nicola. She did not say that Nicola had a problem, alcohol issues, or anything. She's a next door neighbor. She would have known. And I like what she said. She said clearly, I want law and enforcement to check both land and to check both the water and the grounds. She said herself she finds it astonishing to believe that somebody could fall near the bench because it's so low, basically, I guess, because it's so shallow. So all these things need to be taken into accountability. Why did it take 23 days for the search for Nicola's body to appear in the river? The question is, who saw Nicola last? Was it Penny? Was it Ron? Is someone hiding something, allegedly? I believe that Nicola Bulley wouldn't have left her two daughters. I don't believe there's any reason for her to unalive herself. The reason being, Nicola was sitting and writing text messages, sending emails to her manager, writing text messages to her friend, making a play date for their children. She was supposed to meet her sister the next day and go to a spa or something that just opened up. So Nicola had plans for the weekend, for the future. She was happy about the job and everything. So I believe even whatever happened 10 days before Nicola passed away, may God rest her soul, I would really love to know why law enforcement and the medical team came to the house, because I really believe that part is crucial to this case. Definitely. Did they come because it was a domestic violence case? Trigger warning. Did they come because it was a assault case, allegedly? Did they come because the neighbors heard too much yelling and was worried? Did they come because, God forbid, Nicola could have had a mental depression, what's it called, kind of breakdown? So was Nicola overwhelmed, or was Nicola having relationship problems? There are many things that we don't ask ourselves that we're trying to avoid, but Nicola had a partner. They weren't married, but they have two children, beautiful children together. So many questions come in my mind personally. I ask myself, they've been together for so long, why didn't they get married? Is there something preventing it? Could it be one of the things that they could be arguing about? Because think about it, it was Paul who told law enforcement that Nicola was suffering of, I don't like to even repeat it, all these things. Because what he did is he made the mother of his children look bad forever. Once you say something on internet like that, you can't take it back. I wish he never said it for the sake of the girls. It was so unnecessary, and it shouldn't have been said. It shouldn't have been said, because those girls will have to grow up without a mother, and then they will have to hear all these things that have been spoken about their mother, and imagine how painful it is when they find out that all these things came out from their father's mouth. before the public. So I really personally feel really sorry for these young girls, but luckily they have a big family, strong family who loves them. Hopefully they will survive, and I hope they thrive. I hope they get therapy while it's early. And I really just feel sorry, and I feel sad that this case ended the way it ended. I wish more was done. A good example is I agree with the detective that I just played who said that this should have been a crime scene from the start. That means you put in crime scene tapes. Sorry guys, my cat is. I'm really sorry. It loves being everywhere. So I just hope that justice is served if the autopsy show and if the results come back that there was some kind of foul play. Hopefully, I hope that comes back and we find the results. If there wasn't any foul play, sorry. I'm sorry, guys. It's just wanted to sit on my lap. But what I was trying to say is, it is good at least for law enforcement to think about possibly if a third party could have been involved. Because I personally find it, and thousands of people find it strange where the body was found, at the timing it was found, how long time it took to find the body. I personally don't believe that this was an accident. If Nicola fell in the water, I believe that she could have been easily pushed in the water. I really do believe that. Because I just find it hard to believe somebody who even the dog walkers passed her and spoke to her would have noticed if Nicola was under addictions or if she was, yeah, like they said that she should drink a lot, God forbid, if she was having a mental health breakdown, if she was behaving different, if she was acting really depressed, or if she was, I'm sure those people would have mentioned it to law enforcement. And the footage where you see Nicola putting her dog in the car, you clearly see that Nicola has a red purse, a red female bag, her purse. I'm wondering what happened to that. I'm sure she had a wallet in it. I'm sure she had some important papers. I'm sure she had maybe a car insurance in it. I just don't understand why nobody's talking about the red bag. I believe that the red purse is important because she could have had the red purse around her and somebody could have snatched it from her. If there was allegedly, anything going on. But I just find it strange that there isn't much empathy showed by Nicola's partner, by Nicola's friends. They do say positive things about her, but I hardly see them crying. I saw Emma in one of the clips crying, but it didn't even. I wouldn't say. I'm not going to say anything wrong because these people lost their best friend. But it's just that something doesn't sit right with Nicola and the way she disappeared and how she ended. And I guess everyone's entitled to their opinion. I can still believe it's an accident, but then if it was an accident, people who are YouTubers and social media people have been to the scene and they have shown us exactly how deep and how shallow the water is. And that part of the water was extremely shallow. So how could she get into the water from there? If she fell by mistake, she would have managed to get up. And if she hit herself on the rock, God forbid, and collapsed, then law enforcement and the searchers and divers team came a couple of hours later. So why didn't they find Nicola unconscious or, God forbid, dead? Why didn't they find a body then? All these questions need to be asked, because I just don't believe that somebody disappears and they just appears on the other side of the lake, that there is so many trees, there's so many bumps, there's so many hanging trees on the creek, there's reefs, there's everything. So I just don't understand why Nicola Bulley got caught up on exactly that reefs that are one of the last reefs along that side of the lake. There are so many other places that she could have got caught up in. People would have noticed even the part that of the river that goes up the waterfall, kind of the dam. You can see that clearly. Somebody would have noticed that. But the question is, even Paul himself said, Nicola's husband, he says something happened to her. We need to find out what. He said, I don't believe she's in the river. He said, honestly, I don't believe that she's in the river. Then you hear Charlotte, the best friend, saying, I don't think Nicola's in the river. How many people are we hearing saying that? So if they don't believe that Nicola's in the river, then how come now they believe all of a sudden at the last minute that Nicola's body came out of the river? The place that Nicola's body came out from, you could see, was close to the main street. It was close to a road that is hardly used. So at night, if somebody just comes there allegedly and places a body, it isn't that difficult. It's just strange how even Peter Folder was actually, and you can go back and watch those clips where he's searching around those areas. He searched around those areas and Nicola was never seen there. The police were walking around there. The police was going around there with the horses and they didn't see Nicola, his body. So where did it come from? And then I've heard even the woman with the red jacket that allegedly the dog walker who saw Nicola said that she didn't see Nicola. So I don't know if that is a rumor or if that is a fact. But there's something wrong with this timeline. And then when you look at it from the very start, law enforcement actually did an excellent effort. Did a beautiful effort by coming quickly, responding quickly, bringing diving teams, bringing all the necessary crew, letting private teams even come, helping out. They were really doing a lot. But then the question is, when you rule out that there's no third party, then obviously it gets more. It just leads you in one direction, and if that direction goes wrong, then you have a problem. Honestly, so from the start they should have said we are investigating the matter, and we'll let you know. But from the very first day, unless law enforcement in Lancashire, the police know something we don't know and have evidence that is completely possible, I just believe that there's something here that isn't making sense. We are not being told about something that's happening here. And I just hope that it's not because of the private information of Nicola Bulley that was let out about her personal details. I hope that wasn't the reason that her search wasn't being taken so seriously towards the end. Because if you look at it, it was only the first few days that the searchers were searching for her, and then everything turned quiet for a couple of days, for at least 10 days, 2 weeks. No one was on the site. The police, Lancashire police, were just watching with their binoculars from their cars far away, and some of them were walking at the banks, but that is the daytime. So what was happening the nighttime when those 2 weeks nobody was guarding the place? The crime scene should have been guarded, I believe, definitely. Because if there was any forensic of any abduction, then that has even gone to waste. So I really don't understand. I wish from the start it wasn't said that there isn't a third party. Because looking at all these interviews without specifying which of them, they all have a lot of serious red flags. Another thing I've mentioned before, and I'm not scared of mentioning it again because that's the truth. Look at the last footage of Nicola Bulley. I could be wrong, where you can see bruises or something black on her neck, under cheek, and under her ear. The same is when Nicola, in those footages, when she's coming out of her house and she's wearing the jacket, you can see a mark around, a serious round mark, a red mark, because she's a very light-skinned woman. You could see the red mark around her. So I personally believe that when the law enforcement came to their house, it was for DV, domestic violence. Or Nicola was just having a mental breakdown because of everything overwhelming from work and a partner. I don't hear a partner saying at all, Nicola baby, Nicola honey, come home, sweetheart, I miss you, none of that thing. He doesn't even show one emotion. All he keeps on saying is, I have to be strong for my girls. I understand him. I have empathy for him. I have emotions for him. I don't understand him. I'm a mother. No children should be losing their parents. I don't understand that. But it sounds a bit, really honestly, it sounds a bit like more than a red flag. I know people's personalities are different, but when a person doesn't even show that they're missing their loved one, everyone seems to be saying, Nikki, come home like the friends. You don't see any tear shirts. This is a best friend of yours that is missing. This is your partner that is missing. This is your sister or your mother or father that's missing. I would have definitely shed some tears. So there's a lot of things that, like they say, things that make you go whoops. Things that make you go So that is what this whole case is about. And then today we have the news of Alec Murdoch was charged, life sentence, for the killing of his wife Maggie and his son. That is a tragic, it's so sad, this world is so evil. Last thing you expect is your father to take your own life. Last thing you expect is your husband to take your own life. This tragic is really tragic, but he has 99 cases pending of fraud, so you can imagine how long this is going to take. But I really admire the judge who was in this case, because he knows Alec Murdoch and he's worked with him. But the things he said was really, really understandable. And he said that your grandfather's pictures is all over the room. And I'm like, basically he's ashamed of him, of course, because this family, it was murder after murder. The Murdochs were doing just murders. And I'm really happy that at least the justice can be served finally for all the other cases, for all the other victims, and there will be coming up more of them. And then you have the Brian Koberger case, which I have thought of talking about soon. Well, Koberger's case is just sad, heartbreaking, that 4 young students had to lose their life over nothing. Over nothing. Over a person who was having an impulsive reaction to do something, wasn't in his clear mind, or was actually in his clear mind trying to do basically what he learned all these years in class, because he was learning about serial killers, and that's what he almost turned to be. He killed 4 people at one house, but the question still remains. Bethany and Dylan need to talk. I want to know why it took them 8 hours to call law enforcement, because that does not make sense at all. You heard clearly, Dylan clearly heard that there was an intruder in the house, but that is not the time you let it go. You're supposed to do something about it. So it is really sad, it's really shocking. I hope Idaho, Moscow, they seem to be coming back to their normal life, and I hope they do, because this will be a stigma for the college for the rest of their lives. But I love what they did with all the scholarships and all the lovely things that they're doing, and by the university taking over the property, I'm going to make it to something nice for the memorials of these 4 beautiful students. I think that's lovely. I think that's needed, definitely. And I really feel sorry for Idaho, Moscow. I hope they get the strength and the will to pass this heavy times. It is really sad. So guys, have a lovely day wherever you are, or evening. Please like, share and subscribe. Look after yourselves, look after your mental health, look after your physical health. Do not stress yourself, don't overwhelm yourself. Life is too short. Tell your loved ones you love them. Spend time with them. Do things that you love. And remember, like cognitive behavior therapy says, think positive, because negative thoughts is just toxic. Any negative thoughts, when you assume and you have negative thoughts, it's just going to lead you into negative emotions that will lead you to negative behavior. So you can change it all by changing your thoughts into positive thoughts. Even in the most difficult times, try not to think the worst out of a situation or people. Try and remember that this evil will pass. Get yourselves a learning journal. Write down all your problems. Write down not only your problems, write down all the good things you've done, all the positive things. And I was thinking about soon talking about PTSD, because somebody requested that, and definitely I'll do that, because it is something that is a trigger, that is triggering people. I guess because there's so much violence going on around in the world, that people are actually seeing PTSD very often, because they're seeing somebody killed in front of them or something like that. So I'll talk about that too. And guys, I just wanted to tell you all, look after yourselves, stay blessed, and please like, share and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.